The largest concentration of military aircraft in recent memory formed in the skies above London today as the Royal Air Force marks its centenary year. Up to 100 jets, helicopters and aeroplanes from across a range of different eras of RAF history roared over Buckingham Palace as the Queen watched on from the royal balcony. As many as 70,000 lined the streets of the capital to catch a glimpse of the iconic flypast, which included some of the most iconic aircrafts to take flight during the Second World War, including the Spitfire and the Lancaster bomber. The RAF's new cutting-edge stealth fighter F-35 jets also featured, making their first ever public appearance, as well as helicopters including the Puma, Chinook, Juno, and Jupiter, while the Red Arrows completed the flypast followed by a stream of red, white and blue. Seconds before, the largest ever formation of Royal Air Force Typhoons spelt out 100 in the skies above Buckingham Palace to mark the centenary of the service. A total of 22 of the fighter jets took part in the flypast, forming into the numbers, which had served as a surprise for the public and royal family watching the spectacle. Diana Terpougoff traveled from Malta to watch the flypast from the Mall. She said, "I couldn't have felt more full of pride. What impressed me most was the pure skill on show, and of course the amazing 100 formation at the end. Both my dad and brother Tony were in the RAF for 25 years, so it makes this really special. It was worth the trip." Malcolm Evans, from Birmingham, was in the RAF police between 1958 and 1968. He spent time in Hong Kong during his service and remembers it with great fondness. "It brought tears to my eyes to see those planes go through the sky. I'm so pleased we're still able to put that many planes in the air," he said after watching from the Mall. The crowd in the Mall watched agog as first the helicopters, then the light aircraft, the transport planes and finally the Red Arrows flew over. Groups of schoolchildren stood open-mouthed, while visitors munched happily on their picnics and champagne corks popped. After the red, white and blue Red Arrows display, the crowd erupted into applause as the Queen looked on from the balcony at Buckingham Palace. Squadron leader Mike Child said the arrangement of the aircraft took months of planning, with pilots also undertaking simulator training on multiple briefings. Asked how hard it has been putting together the formation, he said, "It has been difficult because it is the biggest formation we have ever done as a Typhoon force. We have done 9 ships, which are the Diamond 9, which is a relatively basic formation, but it is actually making something that big." The 38-year-old said he came up with a lot of the shape of the formation in terms of references and measured it all out and where everyone should be. He revealed much of the practice has been taking place over the North Sea, more than 120 miles out from land, to avoid being spotted and to give them more space. That formation is relatively big and unwieldy, and trying to maneuver it is difficult, so doing it over land is harder, SQNLDR Child said. 5 frontline Typhoon squadrons, plus 1 training unit, were involved in the formation, with 8 jets and 150 personnel brought down from RAF Lossiemouth to RAF Coningsby for the flypast. Set to fly in the backseat of one of the jets, asked how he feels to be involved, he said, "It is an overwhelming sense of pride. To be involved on the day flying will be just amazing. With 3 weeks set aside for training ahead of the flypast, he said the Typhoon Force is still delivering on operations around the world and through Quick Reaction Alert. What we have done is reduce the training flying back in the UK. It is not that we are stopping it, we are just reduced it, he said of managing training, formation practice and operations. Asked what the Queen will make of the display, he said, "It is going to be quite a tight formation. I think hopefully she will be very impressed. It is going to be loud as well going down the Mall." Moments before, Her Majesty praised the heroes of the Battle of Britain during a speech outside Buckingham Palace, watched by other members of the royal family and thousands of spectators who lined the streets. The flypast began to form up over Suffolk to the west of Ipswich at around 12:45 p.m, before heading towards Colchester and then Chelmsford. The formation then continued over the M25, Stapleford Abbots, Hainault Forest and on to central London, passing the Olympic Park, Hackney, Bethnal Green and Shoreditch, before getting to the Mall at around 1 p.m. It was on April 1, 1918 that the Royal Flying Corps and the Royal Naval Air Service merged to create the RAF, the world's first independent air service. Following the service at Westminster Abbey, the Queen presented a new Queen's colour to the RAF along with her son Prince Charles in the forecourt of Buckingham Palace, before making a brief speech. From Spitfire to Starfighter, how Battle of Britain planes and cutting-edge new jets were among 100 aircraft to take to the sky. Puma HC-2, the four-bladed, twin-engine utility unit, is the RAF's medium-sized transport helicopter and has used a variety of combat roles, including the tactical movement of troops, weapons, ammunition and stores on the battlefield. Chinook HC-4, an extremely versatile heavy-duty helicopter that can be operated from land or sea bases into a range of diverse environments, from the Arctic to the desert or jungle. Chinooks are primarily used for trooping, resupply and battlefield casualty evacuation. Juno H-135, the RAF's basic helicopter unit that has now replaced the Squirrel. It is currently the quietest in its class. Jupiter H-145, a training helicopter that has replaced the Bell Griffin. The state-of-the-art cockpit includes the very latest in Airbus helicopters' avionics. Dakota, the Douglas E-47 Dakota, is among the most successful aircraft designs in history. It became one of the world's most famous military transport aircraft and saw widespread use by the Allies during World War II, and to this day, is still used by military air forces and civilian operators worldwide. Lancaster, the Avro Lancaster, is the most famous and successful RAF heavy bomber of World War II. The prototype Lancaster took to the air for its first flight from Ringway, Manchester, on 9 January 1941. It carried out several daring and famous missions, including the legendary Dambusters raid. Spitfire, perhaps the most iconic fighter plane to ever fly in the RAF, the Spitfire is synonymous with World War II and the Battle of Britain. Produced in greater numbers than any other British combat aircraft before or since the war, 20,341 Spitfires were built in 22 different variants, and the aircraft remained in production for 12 years. Hurricane, the sister unit to the Spitfire, the Hawker Hurricane, is one of the classic fighters of all time. It was at the forefront of Britain's defense in 1940, and it played a major part in achieving the victory of 1945. Sadly, there are only 12 hurricanes still airworthy worldwide, only 6 of those in UK. Prefect T1, a nimble two-seated training and aerobatic low-wing aircraft, the Grob 120 TP Prefect is set to replace the Tudor T1 in the elementary flying training role with 57th Squadron at RAF College Cranwell. Tucano T1. The Tucano is a turboprop which provides basic fast jet training to RAF and RN aircrew on their training pathway to frontline fast jet aircraft. It is flown by 72 Squadron with No. 1 Flying Training School at Royal Air Force Linton-on-Ouse. Shadow R1, one of the UK's key intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance planes, the Shadow has electro-optical and electronic capabilities, while it is also fitted with a comprehensive defensive aids suite. Hercules C-130J. The Hercules is the RAF's primary tactical transport aircraft and has been the backbone of UK operational tasks since it was brought into service in 1999. It is frequently employed to operate into countries or regions where there is a threat to aircraft. A400M Atlas. A large transport unit, the Atlas provides tactical airlift and strategic oversized lift capabilities complementing those of the Hercules and C-17 fleets. It has the ability to carry a 37-ton payload and can fly at altitudes up to 40,000 feet. C-17 Globemaster. The RAF's largest transporter, the unit is used for combat, peacekeeping or humanitarian missions worldwide. C-17 is capable of rapid strategic delivery of troops and all types of cargo to main operating bases anywhere in the world. It can transport 100,000 pounds of freight while flying at altitudes above 35,000 feet. be.He 146. The transporter's primary role is the transport of senior government ministers and Ministry of Defence personnel, and, most famously, senior members of the royal family. Sentinel. A surveillance unit, the Sentinel provides long-ranged, wide-area battlefield surveillance, delivering critical intelligence and target tracking information to British and coalition forces. The aircraft is currently deployed in Iraq and Syria. Voyager. This behemoth is the RAF's sole air-to-air refueling tanker and also operates as a strategic air transport. As well as providing fuel in the air, it can operate as a passenger aircraft in much the same way as a civilian airliner. Rivet Joint. RC-235W. RC-135W Rivet Joint is a dedicated electronic surveillance aircraft that can be employed in all theaters on strategic and tactical missions. Its sensors soak up electronic emissions from communications, radar and other systems. He 3D Sentry. The surveillance unit is an airborne early warning and command and control aircraft. The Sentry monitors airspace to provide threat detection of enemy aircraft and has the capability to detect ships, relaying information to maritime aircraft. Hawk T1. The Hawk Mk1 is a fully aerobatic, low-wing, transonic, two-seat training aircraft that is still used in a number of roles for the RAF. Hawk T2. An update on the T1, the later model includes a glass cockpit and comprehensive avionics suite which provide a realistic advanced fast jet environment for training pilots. Tornado GR4. With its mix of weapons, the Tornado GR4 is capable of engaging all targets on the modern battlefield. It is the UK's primary ground attack platform and also fulfills an important reconnaissance role. Typhoon FGR-4, an extremely agile, multi-role combat aircraft used in all the RAF's current operations. It is deployed for the full spectrum of air operations, including air policing, peace support and high-intensity conflict. Red Arrow, the RAF's aerobatic team, the Red Arrows, is one of the world's premier aerobatic display teams. Representing the speed, agility, and precision of the RAF, the team is the public face of the service. They assist in recruiting to the armed forces and act as ambassadors for the United Kingdom at home and overseas. F-35 Lightning, the RAF's brand new fighter jet, is a state-of-the-art combat unit. Capable of flying at a top speed of 1,200 miles per hour and avoiding detection from enemy radars, it can operate from an altitude of 50,000 feet. The multi-million-pound jets will undertake missions from HMS Queen Elizabeth, the new £3 billion aircraft carrier, which is due to become operational by 2020. Source: Royal Air Force.